Alberta's healthcare, the economy, MLAs, and Tweetgate. There's so much going on in the province these days, and here to talk about it all with me is Dave Naylor, the editor of the Western Standard. Dave, thanks so much for joining me today. So great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Jeanette.
Absolutely. Okay, so lots going on in the news. So Alberta Health Services says that it's pushing back against misinformation online, which is saying that kids in our province are being hurt by the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, Dave, they're saying that no children have been hospitalized, and of course, the latest data says that more than 60,000 kids between the age of 5 and 11 have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Anything to weigh on there?
Well, it's shocking to me that the internet has false information on it.
Is it shocking?
No, I'm stunned. The Children's Hospital here in Calgary had been full of children who had suffered side effects from having their vaccination. Just not true, says Alberta Health Services. Over 50,000 Alberta kids now have been vaccinated, and so far none have required hospitalization. But you know, it is okay to question the AHS because they have been caught in lies sometimes. If you remember, a few months ago, they initially said the death of a 14-year-old was COVID-related, when in fact it turned out the poor child had stage 4 brain cancer, and that's what killed him, unfortunately. So it's okay to question, but AHS fighting back to say no kids are being harmed by the injections at the moment.
Okay. Well, Dave, it's been a quiet yet interesting few weeks, and our provincial government has wrapped up their fall sitting. So in your opinion, did they accomplish anything of note?
Lots of screaming and yelling at each other. There were a few things. There was the bill passed late Tuesday night that is going to enable the parties to basically buy as many memberships as they want and hand them out willy-nilly, something that even 3 UCP MLAs voted against. And that's all sort of helping also to set up a leadership review of Jason Kenney. We learned last night that the UCP board has rejected the demands of 22 constituency associations. They're not going to hold the leadership review before March, and they are not going to have a 1 vote per party member ballot. Instead, it's going to be an in-person ballot, and you have to pay to attend. It's going to be in Red Deer on April the 9th, and only those who pay the fees will be allowed in to vote. The amount of the fee was up for debate and apparently will be announced in January. But the recent AGM conference, UCP AGM in Calgary at the end of last month, fees were around $400. So it's not cheap, but it will apply or will help the Kenney group, who will be organizing through political action committees, PACs, to buy memberships and hand them out to basically whoever they want.
Okay, so Dave, what's your take on the path forward for Jason Kenney and the UCP?
It's all going to depend on the economy, Jeanette. Kenney has been consistently polling in the 20s, which obviously is not very good. But he's counting on the fact that the pandemic appears to be coming to an end, and knock on wood, and Alberta is set to bounce back in a big way. The economy in Alberta is expected to grow by the largest of any province in Canada next year. And recently, Kenney announced more than $7 billion of investment into the province in just 1 week. So that's what his platform will be going forward. He'll say, look, we struggled through the pandemic, mistakes were made, but we're now back to where we are. We've got our swagger back. And do you really want to risk that by putting in another NDP government? So that's what he's hoping for on the economy. His future will be held.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you bring up the economy, because the Vancouver Sun recently had the headline that Alberta had the deepest economic contraction of 2020, but we're back on track to have the biggest economic expansion during 2021. So do you think this economic drive will continue and lift Albertans' fortunes?
Well, it all depends on the price of oil, Jeanette. Where it's at currently, we're making money. The deficit was slashed by almost half recently, and it's now, I think, $5 billion instead of the projected double digits debt that they had forecast earlier in the year. And the price of oil is only expected to continue to perhaps go up. You've obviously seen it at the gas pumps when the price of oil is causing significant headaches for drivers, hitting them hard in the pocketbook. So if the price of oil does stay where it is or increase, then Alberta should be laughing. If it decreases, then we're back to the same economic woes we had before. So the engine that drives the Canadian economy that so many levels of government is trying to shut down will be the key factor in 2022.
Now, kind of along the same vein there, Nathan Newdorf, who is the Lethbridge East MLA, recently returned from a trip to New Mexico. So he's been focusing on a recent trade mission in Santa Fe. It seems that the UCP are really trying to focus on the economy. So what do you think about their track record?
Well, I mean, they were certainly handed a nasty sandwich when they took power and COVID hit and the economy contracted and there was the oil deal between the Saudis and the Russians. But the UCP is now, as you mentioned, heavily focused on the United States. They're going to be expanding their trade office in Washington. They're going to be opening new offices in Seattle and Denver,
And
various
Chicago.
places around the states, and they're going to go. They're going to go full steam ahead by trying to lure the trade. Lure trade up north, and the United States is suffering with record high gas prices, with inflation at 30-year highs. So they'll be looking for any sort of way that they can showcase Alberta's oil and ways to get it down there. And not only oil, but new high-tech stuff. Amazon just announced that it was going to be building a tech hub in Calgary, and that's, I believe, was a $4 billion project. So UCP is trying to say, hey, we've still got the oil in the ground, but we're diversifying our economy. We're going to be a high-tech sector. Come on up and let's do business.
Wow. Okay, so we mentioned Nathan Newdorf, who is Lethbridge's East MLA. So Lethbridge West MLA, Shannon Phillips, she's also been making some news with some tweets. So have you been looking into our own little tweet gate and what's been going on there?
Yes, it's all coming out of Mean Gate. Speaking of gates, this is the case involving 5 Lethbridge police officers who were charged internally with sharing some nasty memes around. As you mentioned, the MLA for the area, Shannon Phillips, tweeted out that nasty things like cover-ups and corruption, and called the officers losers, and their lawyer took exception to it. He has written a letter to the Speaker of the Legislature, Nathan Horner, demanding that, Nathan Cooper, demanding that action be taken against Phillips for these tweets. They say that it could have politicized the sentencing process and been a factor in the sentencing officer's decision. 2 of the officers were demoted in rank. One is going ahead with the sentencing next year, and 2 have resigned from the force. So Miss Phillips is certainly making no friends with some people on the Lethbridge police force, and they're fighting back.
Oh, absolutely they are. Yes, it's turning into quite a mean little game here. So, Dave, what are you hearing from subscribers of the Western Standard about Alberta's future?
Right now, I think they just want to get rid of COVID. They want to get life back to normal. Downtown Calgary, where our newsroom is still deserted. Numerous office towers, I think 17 or 18 of them are absolutely empty. The street problems with crack addiction and whatnot do seem to be growing. And Albertans are fed up with COVID restrictions, and they want to get back to work. They want to go into the office. They want to see people again. They want to socialize. So I think for the most part, the end could be in sight. We could see it peering around. And I think everybody's just wants to get this next 3 weeks over with, get into 2022, and start focusing on a new beginning, and get the economy going again. I think overall people are feeling fairly optimistic. They just want to get this year behind them.
I can't believe that 2021 is already coming to a close. I mean, 2020 went by so fast, and now 2021's gone. Like, let's hope that 2022 is much better. What signs of a turnaround are you seeing for Alberta?
Well, just the announcements that Kenny made over the last 3 weeks, the Amazon announcement, the hydrogen announcement for Northern Alberta. These are firms that are showing that they're willing to invest billions and billions of dollars into the Alberta economy. Jeff Bezos didn't become the biggest gazillionaire in the world by being foolish with his money. Amazon are filled with smart people, and they obviously studied this setting up shop in Calgary. They studied it hard, and they made the decision to come here. So when you see corporations like Amazon investing in the province, it does give one hope for that they're leading the charge, and when others see Amazon coming in, they too will follow.
There's been a lot of resistance to government mandates this past year. Do you think that there will be a lifting of the Vax Pass, or is this our new future, our new identification?
Well, I think for the foreseeable future, where this is something that we're going to have to live with. Kenny made in a press conference with reporters yesterday, he said the government is now looking at maybe loosening up some of the home restrictions that limits the number of household people you can have in for Christmas dinner. So they say they may look at loosening that. But when you look across the pond in Europe, Omicron is causing chaos. England is bringing back lockdown restrictions that they thought they had gotten rid of. Netherlands is bringing in restrictions. Italy and Austria and Germany are all looking at making vaccines mandatory. So normally what happens in Europe takes about 3 weeks to get over here. We've had, I think, a dozen Omicron cases in Alberta, and several in various other provinces. So you get the sense that that wave is next to hit us. I think that'll be the fifth wave. Right now, Albertans seem to be listening to the message. They've kept the number of infections at a reasonable rate, between 200-300 or so. ICU hospitalizations are down into the 70s. So that's a long way away from where we were 2 months ago. The good thing about Omicron is that all the experts seem to think, even though it's more contagious and it's more easy to catch, the symptoms are less mild. So if we do get hit by another wave, hopefully it doesn't fill the hospitals like the fourth wave of Delta did. So I think, a short answer, I think we're stuck with the passports and those type of restrictions well into next year.
For sure. And then one last quick question, Dave. Do you think that we'll see more private healthcare coming to Alberta between now and the next election?
I think it's probably inevitable, Jeanette. They've got to get these waiting lists down somehow. They've canceled 30,000 surgeries since COVID became an issue in the hospitals. So the only way to get that list down is a combination of public-private. Let the clinics open and run privately and bill the province. That way, people get in quicker to get their hip replacement. There'll be people screaming about the end of universal health care and it's against the Canada Health Act, but something has to be done because the people who are complaining on one hand will not tolerate a 3-4 year wait for an artificial hip on the other hand. So I
Let's-
think it is coming in.
Yeah, let's just hope that there's enough doctors to cover all the demand happening right now, because we have such a massive doctor
All right,
shortage
good point.
happening in the province there. Dave Naylor, editor of the Western Standard, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, Jeanette, anytime.